Hello friends, welcome back to another episode of Just Tamika. Today we're going to be exploring the topic of depression, and I have with me today someone very near and dear to my heart, a young person who is a part of my life, and she's going to help me explore questions, general questions that people might have about depression. And with that, we will get started. So I'm going to put the microphone where you can hear her too. Okay, so what's our first question?
The first question is, what is depression?
What is depression? Depression can be defined in many ways. It typically is something that impacts or affects your mood. It can have sad or low mood. It can feel heavy. But clinical depression is its own disorder. Clinical depression is hallmarked by feelings of sadness and helplessness or hopelessness. It can be earmarked by certain patterns, for instance, changes in eating, whether you're eating more or eating less. It can also be found to have disruptions in sleep patterns. So maybe you sleep a lot and now you can barely sleep. Maybe it's the opposite for you. Maybe you're sleeping all the time. You don't have a lot of energy or a lot of will or motivation to do anything. Another hallmark of depression is that you don't find joy or enjoyment in things that you used to find enjoyment in. There's also a sense of apathy or just not caring. So hopefully, did that define or describe depression for you, or do you think there are different things? Are there things that maybe I left out that you would describe as? She's saying no. Okay. What is our next question?
What are some of the signs and symptoms of depression?
Yeah. So really, I just went over the signs and symptoms of depression, but those are some of the key ways to know if you or someone that you know might be dealing with depression. It could be experienced as lack of motivation, not having the will to do anything. It can be feelings of sadness. Now, we should point out that depression looks different in minors than it does in adults. It typically comes off as more irritability than sadness in minors. And then in adults, there's even a difference between men and women. Men also tend to experience more irritability, and then there are different cultures that describe or explain it differently. For instance, in the Hispanic culture, they tend to define or describe more somatic or bodily complaints, like maybe a stomach ache, maybe feelings of fatigue versus sadness or emotional words. Does that make sense? Okay. What's another question that people typically have?
What is postpartum depression?
Postpartum depression is experienced by women who have just had a baby, and hence the term postpartum, after pregnancy. It's not always easy to pick up. It can be the mother having a hard time bonding with the baby. It could be feelings of hopelessness and helplessness and feeling like you're never going to get it right, feeling like there's something wrong with you. It's been described and defined differently for some people, but again, you're looking for changes in mood, changes in attitude, changes in eating patterns, possible changing in sleeping patterns. You're watching the moms bond with the baby. Some women don't bond right away. It takes time to build a relationship. This is a little human that you've never met before. And within a few days, most women do begin to build and strengthen that bond. But if someone is experiencing postpartum depression, we definitely want to keep an eye on that bond as well, because it can also impact the postpartum depression. The mom can feel like, oh, I'm a horrible mother, which is going to add to those negative feelings. So pretty much that's postpartum.
What about depression later in life?
Depression later in life actually increases. Older people at 65 and above actually are at higher or increased risk of depression and suicidal thoughts. But if you think about it, there's a time in life where maybe they aren't working anymore. Maybe their kids have grown up and moved on, have started families of their own. People their age are beginning to die in more frequent rates. So those are difficult phases of life situations that happen. And so when you have an older person who maybe has little or no connection left, or a very small support circle, who is feeling down, who's feeling hopeless, who's feeling like they're a burden or they have nothing left, these are definitely things that we want to keep an eye on so that we can rally around that person or people for support.
What is treatment-resistant depression?
Treatment-resistant depression is the type of depression that doesn't really respond well to therapy, may not respond well to medications. So you've tried therapy, you've tried medications, but it just seems to persist. One thing that's found, well, a couple of things are found to be helpful with that. It may sound barbaric, but shock therapy is something that has been found to be somewhat effective for people who have treatment resistant. The thought behind it is that the electroshock just kind of reboots the brain, much the way you would a computer. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that EMDR can also be found helpful. EMDR is intervention where there's a therapist that has been trained in a specific type of intervention where you sit down and there's a light and your eyes chase that light back and forth. It has, I think the science behind it has more to do with the biofeedback loop. I'm not completely sure why that works, but there are research studies that do show that it works, and people have invested money in becoming trained in this sort of intervention. What other common questions are out there?
Can brain scans guide treatment for depression?
I don't know for sure that brain scans can guide treatment for depression. Brain scans can find and indicate maybe underlying causes that may include depression. So maybe there is something pressing against that brain, like a tumor, whether it's benign or cancerous. Maybe there's a mass that's grown that is affecting your that part of your brain that impacts your mood. In that sense it can, but there's no direct correlation between brain scans and finding the right path forward with treatment.
Why is depression more prevalent in women than men?
That is a very good question, one that I'm not going to touch because I don't feel equipped to answer that one. So the question, I don't know if you heard her, was why is depression more prevalent in women than men? I don't have a hard and fast scientific answer for that, simply because there's many reasons. We don't have a direct causal we don't have information that says this exactly causes depression or that exactly causes depression. As individuals, we all have varying degrees of risk factors. Sometimes the risk factor can be that your descendant, your direct ancestor had it, maybe like your mother, your father. That increases the chances. Maybe it can be because you are just someone who's always been more emotionally sensitive, and so you feel or experience moods on a deeper level. It could be some of the things. Maybe it's the way that a person's diet is. So I don't I think that women are more expressive and more likely to go to the psychiatrist, to the doctor, to the therapist, more so than men. And so maybe it just looks like women are more prone to it, where it's not that it actually is. It's just that they're reporting more. So here's another question. Let's see what she finds.
What happens during menopause with regards to the brain and depression?
Can you find another one?
What efforts are underway to improve treatment of depression?
Okay, so there is one question she said was what efforts are what was the menopause one?
It was what happens during menopause with regards to the brain and depression.
What happens to menopause with regard to the brain and depression? With menopause, there are many factors that impact women on a biological function, as far as at that time they're having many hormonal changes, and these things can impact mood, and hence mood disorders can emerge or can be exacerbated if they exist. The question after that had to do with
what efforts are underway to improve treatment of depression.
What efforts are underway to improve treatment for depression? There are many efforts underway as treatments for depression. There's a whole mental health field, so you have an amalgamation of psychiatrists, therapists, social workers, many mental health professionals who are always Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Just Tamika. We've been mixing it up a little bit, doing different topics. Our last topic was an homage to our missed Halloween special. And you all know that, yes, I am a Christian. And so the way, I don't traditionally celebrate it, but it's nothing wrong with having a little bit of holiday fun. Today's episode is another fun topic as well. We're debating whether or not there should be superheroes, and what that would look like on our planet. So we typically record for about 15 minutes. So about 7 minutes, 30 seconds in or halfway through, we'll switch sides and debate the opposite stance. So right now I will be on the side of believing that superheroes should not exist or should not be in our universe, myths, I don't know. And then I have our Crimson Cobra over here, alternate podcaster, who's visiting today, chopping it up, having a little fun with me, who will be talking about the opposite stance of why there absolutely should be powered people among us. So I'm going to be nice and let her kick it off first and make the first few points. Stand by.
Me personally, I feel like there should be superheroes for the reason of, like, what if your car flipped upside down and the police not gonna be here for a while? Couldn't Superman just flip your car right side up and just take you out the car? I feel like that's a pretty good point.
I feel like having supers among us might cause more problems than good. For instance, there was a show that I used to like called Powerless, and the whole premise of the show was about the unintentional fallout of there being superheroes among us. So superheroes flying about, fighting with villains, tearing down buildings, people getting buildings crumbled on top of them. What if Superman is the reason that your car got flipped over in the same, he could just as easily have to flip it back over because it was his fault in the first place.
No, I said, what if your car's upside down, he flipped it back over? Okay, I see where you're coming from. But also, I feel like, what about Bruce Wayne? He's not gonna flip a car over running by. It'd be hilarious if he did, but he's not.
What about Bruce Wayne? The man is vindictive. He takes the law into his own hand. He's not the most effective crime fighter. Everybody he puts away escapes. So why not just let the police do it? We know they put people in jail forever. Facts though, right? Am I wrong?
Okay. Not to be... What's it called? When, no. Like, when you're dragging, what's it called? Like, railroad, problems. Like, railroad problem. Okay, but here's my thing. Bruce Wayne be doing a better job than the police, though. The police go to Bruce Wayne for help.
In his town.
He lives in Gotham.
I don't know. I don't know if Bruce Wayne would have the same effectiveness in Oakland or New York, or
he might get shot.
He might get shot. He might get, he might have to worry about gang activity. I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't know that Bruce can handle it. Yes, he has a whole Bat family with him, but those dudes are loose cannons. I don't know that I want to unleash them on the world, especially that creepy little Damien.
I feel like, wait, but here we go. That's why I have a hard time taking this seriously. Wait.
What's a fun topic, so?
Wait. Iron Man. I feel like he'd do a good job protecting people. So was Superman? Not Superman. Wait, Spider-Man.
You have been watching Marvel movies, right? Because Iron Man and Spider-Man are not the best examples of not screwing stuff up.
I didn't say they won't screw stuff up. Like, they're still human. Better than me. I'd be a whole villain.
Yeah, but see, that's my thing. I have a hard time believing that I would want to rely on humans, as flawed as we are, with powers. I think, hear me out, I feel like if they really were powered people among us, that it would be especially as a Christian, you know how I feel about this. I feel like it would pull us away from, God and trusting and depending on Him. We would then begin to lean on people. Yes,
Can we turn this to a debate as to why I should be a villain, please?
I have a question.
No, we cannot. We're already started on a path.
Oh, wait, I have a question.
What's your question?
And moderator has a question.
Wait, my question is, like how I say that, like when you guys are supposed to bitch. My question is, like,
speak clearly.
My question is, am I part of this or no?
Yes, you're supposed to be part of this discussion, but you
I
didn't on your phone, so we were just going. So back to the point, Adeline. I think that people being as flawed as they are will not make good heroes. And yes, I know that we've talked before about anti-heroes and villains and that whole spectrum. And I know that you absolutely would not be a hero if you had powers. But I still think that if we had people with powers, it would detract and take away from our natural tendency to be self-sufficient or even to lean on God. Because people would no longer, we'd have an excuse. We'd have superheroes to depend on and lean on. And I think that it would really be a disservice. Thoughts?
No, because now I'm really thinking about why we didn't debate about what we would do if we had powers.
Yeah. Do you want that to be
So then if you want to go there, let's go there. What good would you do if you had powers?
Who said I was doing good?
Then why would the rest of the world want you to have powers then?
They're not going to want me to have powers.
Well, so then by default,
there are a few people who I will go out of my way to protect, despite knowing them or not knowing them.
Hey, what about your
so
family?
I feel like now you're making my point that we really don't need powered people. Well, but again, you're making my point, correct?
Yes.
That we really don't need power. We probably shouldn't have power.
I feel like we're put on Earth to have fun. Whoever invented taxes, I got beef with them when I die. On site is on site. We fighting. We're fighting.
It's almost there.
Don't you think it'd be fun to have powers?
For a little bit. I think that honestly, I wouldn't want all that responsibility.
But what if it's like My Hero and we live in a mostly like superpowered society where almost everybody has powers? Like, it's very rare for somebody not to have a power.
That really makes me think of The Incredibles, where Mr. Incredible was talking about how if everybody in society had powers, then that doesn't make us extraordinary, it just makes us ordinary.
Exactly. The ordinary.
And so, I don't know. I think that if I lived in a society where everybody had powers, then it wouldn't be an issue. Like, why would I then need powers? Or, I don't think it'd be a point of having powers or not having powers. I think it'd just be like, what are my unique attributes and what are my gifts that I have to give? But I think that's how we're supposed to live anyway. What gifts do you have to give? What do you bring to the table as far as society? There's enough people taken away. What you got to give? We are now at 7:30, so that means that we flip sides.
Wait, no, now we're at 8.
No, we're...
Wait, are we still debating about what superheroes shouldn't exist?
Wait, but you told me to start the debate when it started, but but Adam started.
This is a timer.
But you just said to start timer.
So what if Barry pulls an A train and he was right through somebody?
So wait, we're flipping sides, right?
Yes.
And
wait, do I just stop at the timer?
Yes. Because you were supposed to let us know we're at 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, but on mine, we were at 8 because when Adam started, I started.
My eyes.
Okay.
It was at 8.
So we still had a minute. That's fine. Okay, so Adeline, please restate what your stance now is.
Because what if Barry pulled an A train on accident and accidentally ran through somebody?
What are you defending right now?
Oh, why there shouldn't be superheroes in society.
And so now I'm to say why there should be.
Yes.
Okay. So you said, what if Barry Allen was more like A-Train from the show
The Boys.
The Boys, and just ran through a human and killed him?
Yes. Then what? We can't put them back together.
This is true. You can't crazy glue people.
That'd be hilarious if you could.
I think maybe he could go through some sort of training. I don't know. If there were going to be superheroes, I feel like you have to teach them how to watch out for people without powers, because...
But who's going to train them to the first generation of people with powers?
I don't know that, but I think we're going to have to figure it out. I'm trying really hard to... I really feel like we shouldn't have people with powers, and so I'm trying...
That's why we're so hard to debate the other side, Mom.
Yeah, I'm trying to find reasons to debate it. So I guess if I had to grasp at straws, one reason would be that there would be those among us who can protect us against villains, against other people's powers, really, I guess. I don't know. What do you say?
But who's to say they're actually going to protect us and not make it worse?
Well, I mean, I guess then that's where having faith in your fellow man would come in, ? Or fellow woman, or
What are
fellow
they gonna do?
human. No, I meant as far as relying on the humanity that they have with their powers, that they would hopefully think to think about the those without powers.
Yeah, but
That's all I got. That's all I got.
But you don't know what people's true intentions are.
We
I can
don't
pretend
know.
to be a good guy, but I could be a bad guy.
Well,
Like,
we
deep
don't
down.
know what people's true intentions are now, and we get through.
Not without everybody. Not without everybody being safe.
This is true. I'm thinking of a like I would never want a Brightburn type situation like from that movie. But I suppose we could end up with a Superman instead of a Brightburn who really cares about humanity. Superman and Wonder Woman tend to do really good jobs at trying to look out for collateral damage and make sure that people aren't injured when they're fighting their foes and things like that. So if we had people with powers like that, then I guess I'd have to say okay.
All it takes is one incident for them to see the world in a whole different place and decide these people need to die. They need to go. They need to be wiped out.
Naya, you sound very concerned. Would you like to
No,
chime in?
I just realized, how am I supposed to tell you guys to switch if I just stop the timer?
It's fine.
Because we don't switch again. You switch halfway through.
Yeah. What do you think, Kanaya? Are you pro people with powers or pro without? Like, what do you think?
Only if I get powers, I'll be pro power.
Oh, well, that's selfish.
And
But I'm asking Kanaya. Kanaya, what do you think? Do you think people should have powers or no?
It does have its ups and downs.
Okay, what are the ups and what are the downs?
I mean, some generations would probably decide to become heroes, but some people in that generation would probably not.
There's not gonna be no heroes.
Let her talk. I can't hear her. What did you? Can you repeat what you said, Kanaya?
Some people in their generation would want to be heroes, and some people in their same generation or different generations would not want to be a hero. So it has its ups and downs, but also it has ups and downs for people who don't have powers, because someone might be having a bad day and their house could get totaled or their car, and they have 3 mouths to feed.
Oh, that would suck. Yeah. So are you saying if powered people were fighting nearby and someone didn't have powers and they had a family depending on them and their car got destroyed, that might not be a good, that's one of the downs you were talking about?
Yeah, and some of the ups is, what if they're if they're in constant danger and they're about to fall because they're forced to by a villain or something like that, and they get saved.
Okay, so what if they're in a position of being in a precarious position where they can be hurt by a villain, but then the hero comes along and saves them?
Yeah.
So that would definitely be a perk, yeah. So I will say that I think that there's no winner to this debate. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's just a lot of factors to consider. And at the end of the day, we don't seem to have powers. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that's probably for a reason. But I do want to thank you all for going on this journey through our imagination with us and for joining us. And as always, I'm Jess Tamika.